And Shekhar is having a question. If we bring the data from ECC to BW and then BW to BPC, why do we need to create master data in BPC? Shekhar, when you're creating the data from ECC to BW and BW to BPC, you need to have master data in the BPC system. That is the mandatory thing. If there is no master data, you cannot load the transaction data. That is the simple thing. So for that purpose, we need to maintain master data first and then the transaction data. It is not only reporting tool, you have to remember BW is just a reporting tool, so it can create automatically the master data. But BPC is planning as well as reporting tool. So you need to have master data in order to plan. It is similar to your FI system. If you want to store any GL account data, first you need to create the GL account and then only you can use it in posting the entry. This is similar system. No, Shekhar, that is what I said. When we are updating the master data, I clearly told there are two ways of updating master data. One is manual way and another is automated process from BW master data. I said BW master data load we will discuss when we are discussing on the data manager section. So I clearly said that at present we are discussing the manual load. See, because what happens is when you are working in live environment, say account, entity, cost center, profit center, these dimensions you will get it from your ECC system. There are other dimensions like data source, reporting currency, and there will be something called category. These data will not be available in your ECC. You have to maintain directly in the BPC system. For that, manual input is required. So don't think that all the data that is available in your ECC will be fed directly into the dimensions. Some dimensions require manual update directly in the BPC system. Once we start understanding the dimension by dimension wise, you will be able to know some of the data only will be available in ECC, other things we need to maintain directly in the BPC system. I hope, Shekhar, I am clear on your question. There are multiple questions from your side. I hope I am clear on that. Salahuddin is having a question. Can master data only created manually or there is a way of mass load? Salahuddin, I did not get your point of what is mass load. We can bring it from BW, from the info object. We can directly maintain in the BPC system. If it is there in Excel, you can copy and paste it like normal Excel. I am not sure on what you mean exactly by mass load. Raj is having a question. Master data in BPC is mandatory. How to connect ECC data to BPC? See, it is simple. When you are creating your transformations, you are mapping your ECC to BW data. From BW data, you are mapping it to BPC. So it is whatever you are putting in account that should already available in your ECC system. So the same thing you are mapping from ECC to BW as a mapping rules, mapping tables, mapping section, everything you maintain your BW system. Similar way from BW to BPC, you need to do the same mappings through transformations. Raju, yes Raju, session has already started nearly 45 minutes back, Raju. Ganesh is having a question. If we have master data defined in BW, do we need to create any master data in BPC? Does BPC has its own master data? Yeah, as I am saying, Ganesh, if the master data is already available in your BW, you can bring it into BPC. But if certain master data cannot be available in your BW system, those things you need to create directly in the BPC system. That is the mandatory requirement. I'm not sure on that, Raju, how you got it as 4 p.m. as a start time, but for me it is 8:30 p.m. IST will be the time. So I don't know which time zone you are belonging to, so that equivalent you can calculate. So daily class, sorry, not daily, weekly our classes will be 8:30 IST. So you can convert it back to your time zone, and that will be our starting time. Salahuddin, we will be having on Saturday and Sunday. So yesterday we have in the demo section, we have asked so many people what is the best time they want. So everyone suggested only on Saturday and Sunday. So we'll stick on to Saturday and Sunday, and the timings will be 8:30 p.m. IST. So if you are working in different time zones, please convert it, so that will be the timelines, 8:30 p.m. IST. Mitesh is asking a question. Can you show the new entry you have created? Yeah, Mitesh. I am going to that. Before that, I am answering the questions so that everyone will be clear. Once I complete these questions, then I will show it. Okay, Shekhar. Shekhar, for these purposes, you can directly contact Techie training team. They will guide you with respect to how and what needs to be done and all, because I am not the primary source of contact. So you can contact the Techie training team. Rajiv is having a question. Yeah, Rajiv, you will get the recorded session. After this class, they will share the recorded session link. You can download it. So in future also, if you are missing any class, if you send those details to the Techie training team, they will forward you the recorded session. Shekhar is having a question. I am basically a BW consultant, would like to learn BPC. Yeah, as we discussed, Shekhar, in our demo class also, mainly for BPC, people with FI and people with BW and ABAP will be mainly coming to BPC system, because of the requirement towards BPC is BW requirement will be there, FI requirement towards a functional consultant, ABAP requirement towards the coding part in the BPC planning projects. So these three people will have added advantage compared to the other people. Raj is having a question. As I understand, data mapping from ECC to BW is BW consultant job, and in BPC we can work from BW data. Yes, Raj, ECC to BW is majorly the BW consultant work. We are not touching the BW ECC to BW part at all, because it is the core BW consultant job. From BW to BPC, once it is available in BW, that is the requirement of the BPC consultant. Ganesh is having a question, how long the course will go? I mean the duration. Duration will be 6 to 7 weeks, because we are planning to have weekly 2 classes. So Ganesh, it will go for 6 to 7 weeks max. Venkat is having a question. I am FICO consultant. How do I fit in? Yeah, Venkat. If you are a functional consultant, you will be looking towards developing towards a solution consultant role in BPC, so that you will be doing major solutioning part, and you will be assisting the BW consultant and whoever is the technical consultant in the logic part, and what logics you require and how to use it, and how to design the BPC system, what master data is required, and how you are getting the financial numbers either in planning or consolidation. All these things are FI consultant job. Kamlesh is having a question. The data in BPC needs to be in certain format. Yes, Kamlesh. Whatever right now we are discussing is only, we are discussing the basics of the BPC system. Once we go into the data load section, we'll discuss in detail what are all the formats that is required and how to load the data from BW to BPC. All those things in detail we can learn. So at that point of time, if you are after discussing those things, if you are having additional questions, at that time you can ask, so that you will have little clarity on how the BPC works, and then you will have your so many questions might have been answered in that. So I think, Kamlesh, we'll discuss those things at those point of time, because right now we just started the BPC basics, so it is no point discussing on the data loads directly now. Yeah, whatever you are saying, 76 value fields, those things we'll discuss when we are discussing on the data load section, because BPC works on one single key figure. But to take that, we need to create it as a multiple account dimension values. That option is available. That is the same concept, key based model to account based model. We'll discuss at that point of time how to tackle that. Sandeep is having question when these classes will happen. Sandeep, this is weekend batch, Saturday and Sunday. So it is 8:30 p.m. IST. I am not sure on which time zone you are related to. So it is 8:30 p.m. IST on Saturday and Sunday for 2 to 2.5 hours daily. It will be probably 6 to 7 weeks, Sandeep. Shibani, at present we are conducting only weekend batch. Okay, so coming back to our BPC system, as we discussed, whatever we are creating from the front end, system automatically creates in the back end as a dimension is equal to info object. So we will go back to our back end. I have created ACC underscore ABC as a new dimension. Go back here, refresh. I think it is not refreshing. I'll just log out and log in. See, ACC underscore ABC has been created from the front end. So if you see here, the hierarchy will be created and attributes also created, which is created as a master data property in our front end system. If you go and see here, if you see here, offset account used in eliminations is used by consolidation process. If you see here, these are the attributes. Offset account used in US eliminations is used by consolidation process. All these things are attributes, is nothing but properties which are columns in your master data. So system automatically creates these things. You need not worry about creating in the back end. Yeah, Salahuddin is having a question. Do you have SAP press books for BPC? Yes, Salahuddin. SAP has given BPC 420, 430 and 440. 420 is mainly for administrative things and 430 is for reporting and 440 is mainly meant for consolidation. So techie training team will be providing the tab books along with the access and other information explaining certain other topics in a detailed way through some PPTs and through some PDF documents. They will provide those support to you. Dimitri is having a question, will the BW attributes be ever created as a navigation attributes? Yeah, because we are creating from the front end, system automatically takes whether to take it as that or not. So whatever it is there, it will be created as a navigation attribute. For hierarchy attribute, it will be a display attribute. So system automatically takes care about creation, and we need not worry about these things. And some things called scaling and all, those will be your display attributes, DIS will be there. And at any point of time we will not be touching the backend and will not be modifying from the backend at all. So whatever system is creating, we are nowhere concerned about it. System will automatically takes care about that. And then, as we discussed, once we create any model also, system needs to create as a backend cube. So we'll just create one model. Like how we did dimension copy, either we can copy or we can create a new model or we can edit the new model and delete it. So I'm just copying it. Later on we'll see what are all the mandatory dimensions required for each of the type, consolidation type separately, planning type separately. So I'm just creating, say, so once I create it from the front end, it should automatically create in the back end as a cube. So now I have created January_2015 as a consolidation type model. We'll discuss after this what is financial, what is consolidation after we discussing the other things. Now go back and refresh. I don't think it is refreshing. Yeah, log out and log in. Go to RSA1. Now see, January_2015 has been created as a model in our front end. System automatically created in the back end as a cube. So automatically system takes care about those options. Yeah, Mitesh, we'll discuss the type and all. Once we complete this, I will just show how system is creating in the backend. Then I will discuss in detail what is type and how it is required and all. So with this, whatever the environment we are creating in the backend, it will be created as info area. Under info area, you will be having cubes, which is nothing but models. Whatever you are creating in the front end, it will be automatically created as a cube in the backend. And dimensions, whatever you are creating, it will be created as a backend info objects. And what are all the properties inside a dimension will be created as an attribute. If there is a hierarchy, it will be created as a hierarchy in your backend BW system. And we will not be touching any of the CPMB related either cube or info area or attributes or info objects. And SAP suggests not to touch the backend CPMB related objects, so that if there is any changes that is happening in the backend, there is no proper justification given by SAP what will be the problems you will be facing from the front end when you are working in the BPC system, because lot of things have been predefined by BPC system along with the type, and along with that there is a predefined programs are running in the backend system. So SAP suggests never to touch any BPC objects from the backend. Always do it from the front end. And as we discussed, we have created this. If you want to edit the members, you can go to the edit members section and you can add whatever thing you want, and the ID will have 32 characters as its length. That is the maximum length of the ID which you can specify in your BPC system. And all other things you can define the length of the property. So how to define the other properties length and what properties you require and all? Go to the structure of the dimension. Now if you see here, these are the properties. This section is called properties. And in our today's class, somebody is asking how to know which is the mandatory property for this type of dimension account. Whatever here you are seeing in the blue color, these are the mandatory properties. Whether you maintain values or not, by default when you select the type of dimension as a, these properties will automatically get created. And there are some other properties with white color. These dimensions are, depending upon your requirement, you can use it or you can delete it or you can keep it as blank. Now if you see here, there is a button called remove. Now if you select the first line item, and if you see, remove button has been disabled. Even by any problem also, you cannot delete this particular mandatory property. You maintain value or not, that is secondary question, but this is the mandatory for type A. And if you select the second one, if you see, the remove option is available. I can remove it and save it. Now go back to the member section. See, I have removed the offset. That particular property value or that column has been removed from the front end. So now you go back to the structure. Now just I'm adding one more property. So I'm just putting it for your information how it will work and all. So add a new property. Say I'm putting, say, gap. So which gap it relates to. I'm just, for an example, I'm putting the property. It can be anything. So I'm fixing length as 10. Press OK. And I'm deleting the other hierarchies. So these are the hierarchies which are available at present. So you can have one hierarchy, 2, 3, 4 multiple hierarchies you can maintain. Why BPC allows multiple hierarchies? When it comes to consolidation, sometimes you will be requiring to report at FSV level, which is there in your FI system. And when it comes to consolidation, you might require to report at a different hierarchy level. So for that purpose, for one reporting purpose, we will keep one. For another, we will keep one. For IFRS, for US GAAP, one more hierarchy. So once the data entry is done at base level, the reporting can be done at any of the hierarchy level. So that is the advantage SAP gives, so that you can have multiple hierarchies and you can see the data in multiple financial statement versions, like how you call it in FI system. We call it as hierarchical versions. Is the audio clear? Are anyone facing the audio issues? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So Shivani has lost some audio. So I'm just reporting. So I'll just repeat the things. So if you want to add any of the property, you can add the new property using new property, and you can add this, and whatever is in the white color you can remove it using this button called remove. And you can have multiple hierarchies. You can define hierarchy 1, hierarchy 2, hierarchy 3 and hierarchy 4. System automatically creates the ID as parent H1, H2, H3, H4. This is system defined hierarchy formatting. You just give the naming. This is the description. This is the ID system creates. Suppose if I am adding one more thing, just go here, press H5, press OK. System automatically creates the ID. So system ID creation will be by system for hierarchies. The normal ID will be created by you. So once you've done any of the changes here, you can change the description also. You have to save it in order to save to the backend. So save it. Now settings have been changed. Now if you want to add the master data, you can go from members of the dimension here. Now see, the two properties which I have deleted have been gone from here. The additional property which I have created, gap, has been added here, and hierarchy 5 I have added, that has been added as a hierarchy here. So like this, system will provide it the property or an attribute in your BW system as a column. Now here I am seeing all the things as a description. If I want to see the ID, see this is description, elimination code and all. If I want to see the ID, because here I am having ID as well as name as description. Right now I am seeing description. If I want to see ID, I have an option here, display. Instead of name, you select it as ID. Now see, it is showing parent H1, H2, H3 like that, which is the ID column. And you have something called apply hierarchy order. So once the data is available, if you are having multiple hierarchies, if you want the IDs to be sorted based on the hierarchy, you can select based on which hierarchy you want to sort the data. And then you can export it to a CSV file, so that if you want to add anything or if you want to keep it as a CSV file outside, you can keep it, and you can open that CSV file. See, like this, system will automatically create. Suppose if I am having master data in Excel, like I am just putting for an example. Okay, like this, some master data is there which my client has provided in Excel. In those cases, I need not worry, I can just copy. So I'm just putting the same as description also. I can just copy. I can update the master data. Press Ctrl V. See, automatically it will get updated. Either you can save, which we have already discussed, or directly save and process if you are okay with the values. It will ask whether to take environment offline. You press no, because for updation it is not required to take it as offline. Now if you see here, I have updated the ID and description, and I have not updated the account type. When I am processing the dimension, it is showing error occurred while processing the dimension. If you go to the details, it will show you the account type property is blank. So as I said, for GL account, the account type is mandatory in order to decide which sign it needs to assign. It is similar to your FI. So I need to have certain account type property as a mandatory property to be defined. So these things you will be knowing by experience after doing this. And if sometimes what happens, if you are doing and processing it also, if there is any mandatory requirement, system will throw up an error like that. Now I have updated the account type. Just save and process. Now see, the dimension has been successfully processed. Now there is no chance of having any duplication here in the BPC system with respect to ID. So if I try to create same master data and press enter and try to save, see, system will throw up error. It will show invalid ID. ID has been already used. That means same master data ID I cannot maintain twice. And for this, account type property is mandatory. That is why it is asking account type property also. Now, as I said, I have deleted two properties from this particular dimension. One is offset and another is, if you remember, we have deleted two properties. We just go back and see how the attributes are getting deleted from backend system also. So generally when you are working in live environment, for the first time, if the master data has to be uploaded, client will provide you the Excel file. You can just copy and paste it into your BPC system. Now go to attributes. Now if you see, there is something called use elimination property. All those properties has been gone, and I have added one property called gap, and it has been created as a navigation attribute automatically. So whatever you have deleted will be backend also, it will get deleted. Whatever new additions you are doing, it will get added up here. So Kamlesh is having a question, is there a way where I can have custom defined property and make it as mandatory? What is navigation and display attribute? See, navigation attribute will automatically created by the BPC system. See, it is for just for an information, it is normally a BW related technical term, navigational and display attributes. System automatically takes from the BPC perspective, so we need not worry about how it is creating as a navigation or a display attributes. If you are creating as a BW, normal BW cubes, which the normal BW consultant will do, then they need to worry about navigational and display objects and all. From BPC perspective, we are least bother whether it is a navigation or a display attribute. From the front end only we will be seeing. And Kamlesh is having question, is there a way where I can have customer defined property and make it as mandatory? Whatever property you are defining, these are not mandatory. So you cannot have custom defined property as a mandatory value. Only SAP predefined properties can be made as mandatory properties. So I'm just closing this. I'm just going into the normal account dimension in order to show you other details. And as we said, account type is mandatory property. So what are all there that will be allowed in account type? This is normal your accounts: expense, assets, liabilities, and then income. So the same thing which you define it in your ECC system, the same way BPC allows only the 4 types of accounts. EXP meant for expenses, AST for assets, LEQ for liabilities, INC for income. Okay, and the rate type property here, you can define what rate type you want to use. This is similar to your TICA table maintenance in your FI system, like average rate, closing rate, historical rate, whatever rate you want to maintain. So as I said in my initial demo class also, whoever planning to have a functional consultant and a solution architect role, these master data definition, what needs to be part of master data and what is required and all, should be the job of the solution consultant to define all these properties and values. And then here there is something called parent H1, which is nothing but hierarchy. So if I am seeing this data in this line format, like your normal Excel format, this is called list view. If you see here, there is view called list view. If I want to see it in hierarchical fashion, the master data, you select it as hierarchy. Then system will show you in the hierarchical view. Balance sheet is the top node. Under balance sheet, total assets. Under total assets, fixed assets. Under fixed assets, land and buildings. So it's a 4-level hierarchy structure. So like this, system master data, either you can view it in hierarchical view or a list view. List view is your normal Excel kind of a thing. Hierarchical view is normal hierarchy view. And when you are viewing it, you have an option to view member and description, or only the member ID, or only the description without the ID. And when you are viewing, you can view H1, H2, H3, H4. If you are having multiple hierarchies, you can view. I don't have defined H2 hierarchies, so if I select, it will show there is no hierarchy value, so it will show all the items one by one because hierarchy 2 is not defined. If I have defined the hierarchy 2, then it will show in the same hierarchical fashion like H1, whatever the hierarchy you have defined. And if you see here, say from here also I can change the hierarchy name. Suppose cash is there. If I want to move it to fixed assets, either I can do it directly in the list view or directly I can drag and drop it under fixed assets. If I drag it and drop it under fixed assets, in order to take these changes into picture, I have to press save and process. So automatically in the list view, the cash related hierarchy node will be changed to fixed assets. Now we'll go to the list view. We'll see cash. So for cash, what is the hierarchy node? BS 110. 110 is fixed assets. So we have grouped from current assets to fixed assets. In the hierarchical sheet, system automatically moved it to 110. Now again we will go back and move it to current assets 120, and we will see whether it is changing the parent or not from the front end. Now I'll again go. So I'll bring back cash from fixed assets to current assets, which is the correct treatment. Now again I'll save and process. So I can, if there is any changes required, I need not directly go and do the changes directly in the list view. I can do those changes directly in the hierarchical view. Because in list view, to identify which is the parent and which is the related base member, it is very difficult. But once you see it in hierarchy view, it is very easy to map it where it belongs to and all. So that option also they have provided directly here. Now we will directly go to list view. Now it should represent 120. Cash, and see the hierarchy node, it is 120, which is the current assets. So like that, from the hierarchy structure also, because from hierarchy structure it is very easy to identify which node it belongs to. Now if you want to see it here, land and buildings, to which it belongs to, now you have to go to parent node BS 110. Now you have to search BS 110 what it represents. Then only you will understand this is part of fixed assets. But if you are seeing from the hierarchy view, it is very easy to understand, and drag and drop also very easy. Pranav, this is the first session. Yesterday was the demo session where we have not seen any of the system, but we have just gone through the overview of the BPC and some demo related things. Mitesh is having a question, how do system define top node? System will not define the top node. You have to define what is the top node and what is the base node. So if it all depends upon your chart of accounts hierarchy. In your FI system, how you are defining what is a top node and what is the base node. Your balance sheet is the top node. Under that you have fixed assets. Under that current assets. Under fixed assets, land and buildings. Under that vehicles. Like that you are defining at the FI system level. The same way you are defining in the BPC also. The hierarchy, what is the top node, what is the base node, system doesn't know. You have to provide whatever you are providing as a hierarchy node, that will become the top node. Whatever is the last member, that will become the base node. So whenever the data entry is happening in BPC, always happens at base level. Roll-ups will happen automatically till the top node, which yesterday we have seen. When we are discussing on the reporting part also, we will see how the data entry happens at base level, which will be rolled up till the top node.